Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And tons of people are saying, Jason, why aren't you talking about the fact that Matt Ogus is back? So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Alright guys, yes, Matt Ogus is back, and in fact, I actually did make a video reviewing the most recent video he did. I viewed it very favorably. I haven't spoken to Matt in years. I have met him in person though. Seems to be a legitimately nice guy, although when I met them I kind of spent more time chilling with Lovato because I thought he was, again, more interesting person just to chat with and bro out with and talk and things. But Ogus was pretty cool. I've met him. Pretty good guy overall. I don't have anything really bad to say about Ogus. So, you know, this whole thing has popped up with, he's come back and people are throwing rumors everywhere. And people need to remember, guys, when you're dealing with the internet and people throw rumors all over the place, look, we can talk about those rumors. We can discuss rumors. Hell, we can gossip. But you need to remember, at the end of the day, rumors should be taken with a grain of salt, particularly when you don't really have information. I mean, like I just came across one this morning about myself as a perfect example, right? Perfect example. People saying, well, people are saying this or that about you, and it's a rumor that they started that's actually could be factually disproven, right? It has to do with where I possibly lived at the age of 18 or things that they suspected that they just made up happen, right? But my school records show that I was 17 and turned 18 while living in a completely different state, enrolled in school full-time as a senior in high school, in the supposed year and time people like to throw rumors out there about, right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you are talking about rumors of people on the internet. People just make up stuff, even if the rumors can sound reasonable. So what are people saying about Ogus? Like, oh, his business failed, and so therefore he's coming back to YouTube. I don't really think that's the case. In fact, I don't even think that's reasonable, and let's discuss why. He's making one video a week. Now, granted, with over 500,000 subscribers and making very long videos, I'm sure those videos are lucrative. Like, I can promise you he is probably making, if I had to estimate videos of that length, anyone with his level of outreach, you know, verified over 100,000 viewer, he's probably making as much as $10 per 1,000 views off those, right? And so that's pretty good. Like, if you have one of those and it has whatever, like 50,000 views. Well, you figure he probably legitimately made $500+, maybe even up to $1,000 off that video, right? But if that's his only stream of income and he's only making one video a week and one of them only got like, what, like 30,000 views, another 50,000, you're talking about, best case, something like $500 to $1,000 per week off those videos. And that's being very, very generous. Now, if he legitimately had lost all of his income from whatever his businesses are and his other income streams, he wouldn't just be doing one video a week. Let's be realistic here. When you have a channel with the size of his, if he were to legitimately push it and start cranking out a bunch of videos, he could be making thousands of dollars per week. So if I had to look at it and guess, I would predict he's still obviously doing something else full time, that he probably jumped in. Let's just be reasonable. He probably jumped in and said, hey, I'm going to start making a video every week. It would only take a few hours out of my week. It'll, number one, have some good revenue. Number two, it'll keep me out there, keep me current. He can probably spin it back towards some of his other business stuff, and it'll trickle some traffic and revenue and everything back towards his main businesses. And it's a good side thing for him because he already has established a large YouTube. He's established a large following, and he's just retouching base again. Like, maybe he got really, really tied up being a new father. He got really tied up with other business endeavors and let the YouTube chill for a bit. When I see it the way that he did it, it's not a mark of desperation. Meaning, as someone who knows how YouTube really works, unlike people with little small channels who haven't been doing it full time, they don't really understand the revenue as well as the trends I've seen over the years, as I do this as a full-time gig. If he was legitimately needing money, like if he was really hurting and his business had gone under and he's got a YouTube that big, he would be cranking out a video every single day, right? He would be cranking out a video every day. He's not. He's not. So that lends me to believe that he is not attempting to use YouTube as a primary revenue source, which means whatever else he's doing, maybe he's struggling with something somewhere else. Maybe it's not making as much as he'd like and he wants to buffer his income. That's possible. But we don't know that. You know, guys, we can speculate. We don't know that. So I'd be willing to guess that he's probably doing decent in whatever his other endeavors are, that he's just using it as, again, to continue to utilize the platform that he's developed. He probably has just enough free time now to do that, time away from his other business stuff, his family life, all of that. You know, maybe the baby's not quite the newborn anymore. It's not taking quite as much time. He's got a few hours a week to crank out one good video. I'd be willing to bet that's what it is. And he might as well keep his views going. He might as well continue to make money off the YouTube. That'll get everything circulating again. And, you know, again, allow him outreach and to put in the minimal amount of work. He's already going to have his IRR established, that he can keep everything flowing. I don't see it as a sign of desperation at all, because that's not how someone who is really hurting for money, who has a big YouTube already, that's not how they would handle it. Absolutely not. If they really needed to make money. So I'm going to think, I think that rumor is a little far-fetched. I don't think it's reasonable. I can see why people might say, oh, I bet this is what's happening. But guys, I don't see it. Now, as far as him coming back, do I think it's a good thing? Yeah. I've always thought Ogus had a decent channel. I've always thought Ogus had pretty good information. I'm not saying I agreed with everything he said or everything he does. I certainly don't. And I don't dig the whole competitive bodybuilding thing. But is Ogus got good information? Yeah. Ogus pretty much knows what he's doing. He's got a solid grasp of training knowledge. He's got a solid grasp of nutrition, at least at the functional level. I feel like he tends to put out more good information than bad, right? Because we all put out some good stuff. We all put out some bad stuff. Everyone's a balance of it. No one gets everything right or wrong. But Matt generally gets stuff pretty right. And what I do have to say with that last video he made, I think he hit the nail on the head. I mean, he really got in and hit the meat and the potatoes of things. And he basically broke down to people, as a guy who does have that look that people want. They say, oh man, that guy's really aesthetic. He must really know how to train. And he came in and promoted the stuff that's not the stuff that all the guys on tons and tons of gear promote. He came in and promoted really what will actually work. The basics. He came in and talked about, you know, just basically doing 6 basic movement patterns. That's your meat and potatoes. That's where your foundation lies. That is where 90+% of your focus needs to be. And he got in and he hammered big barbell lifts. What did he talk about? Squat, bench, deadlift, the overhead press, and what was it? Rows? What did he throw in? Was it rows or pull-ups? Now I forgot. It was chin-ups. And he's dead right. I mean, if you get really strong and increase your work capacity and workload and strength on those 6 exercises, it will absolutely transform you. It will make you look completely different. He got in and discussed that. He got in and discussed using good form. And good form generally entails, you know, a form that will recruit the most muscle fibers. It's not just about safety, guys. When we start talking about form, we're talking about, are you actually getting ideal muscle activation? You know, are you using a range of motion in a bar path that's going to allow for best muscle activation, or how much are you cheating a weight up in? Are you bouncing a weight off your chest on the bench? Are you actually using your chest to initiate the start? You know, all those little things. He got into that, and he discussed the need for progression and programming. And that's really those 3 principles that he laid down. That really is the foundation of training. You know, that is the foundation. And if you're not well grounded in those principles that he broke down, you're really going to shortchange yourself. You're not going to make the progress that you really should be making. And I think he did a fantastic job of spelling that out. He did a fantastic job of breaking that down. So I'm looking at that. I didn't even see the other one he did. I know he did a longer video the week before. I haven't even watched it. I haven't had a chance to. I've been working on my own stuff. I'm getting my own life in order, working on my own videos. I haven't had time to see it. I haven't watched anybody's fitness stuff. Really for the last few weeks. Very, very, very little, unless it was sent to me and someone said, hey, you need to check this out. But if it's anything like that one that I did look at, did take the time to watch and review, it's probably going to be pretty good stuff. So I'm seeing it as a positive thing. You know, I'm seeing the return of Ogus as a positive thing. I think he's going to have, again, a good influence on the YouTube fitness community. He's well grounded in the basics. He's well grounded in understanding how these things work without promoting a bunch of silly fluff and pump and leapfrog and grab ass and fringe diets. I mean, he understands how calories and protein and things work. He understands the need for the big movements. That's really where 95% of your muscle mass comes from. If the big movements with progressive overload performed correctly, he does understand the value of strength and why strength absolutely matters for drug-free lifters who are trying to maximize their muscle mass and development. It is critical as a component that cannot be ignored. And if you try to ignore it, it will be to your detriment. He grasps that stuff. He articulates that stuff. So in all honesty, a lot of what he does tend to promote is stuff that I agree with, we overlap on. And I'm hoping he'll do all that without promoting a huge amount of supplements. Now, I went over and looked, and even on his About tab, he's only promoting 3 supplements. It's like protein, creatine, and fish oil. So it doesn't look like he's going to be a big snake oil salesman. And so, you've got to look at all that and say, okay, I think this is generally going to be a positive thing. I mean, the fact that he's back and doing stuff, I think it's going to have a more positive than a negative influence. I'm glad to see him back. It's someone I do get along with. I've never had a beef with Ogus. Never had a real problem with him. Like I said, I've met him in person. The dude's run over and hugged me. Jumped up on my back and got a piggyback ride before. So I'm cool with Ogus. Yeah, so it's good to see him back, and I think it's a good thing. And hopefully he'll keep cranking out a new video every week, and it'll be some good stuff that we can spread around and everybody can learn, and it can better everyone for having heard it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.